One of the greatest challenges confronting humanity, destroying livelihoods completely and causing major diseases. So this week on The Facts, we shall be looking at strategies to tackle climate change. Welcome to the program. My name is Akinwumi, Abodunde. This week on The Facts, I will be speaking with the Director, Climate Change Center at the Rufus Giwa Polytechnic, Owo, who is also the acting rector of the institution, Mr. Olorunwa Adegun. Join us. Mr. Adegun, thank you very much for accepting to talk to me.
Thank you, Mr. Presenter. You are welcome.
Well, let's look at the real issues around climate change, especially as it affects Nigeria. Let charity begin from home.
Okay.
Let's look at what is happening to Nigeria vis-a-vis climate change and its challenges.
Yes, thank you. Climate change is a serious issue. Basically, climate change is changes in temperature and in weather. The persistent change in temperature and weather, and as to how it affects human health and some other things. So, and unfortunately, only about 1% of the total world population knows about climate change and its effect. And that is why we are taking the bull by the horn to ensure that we create awareness here in Nigeria, because we are going to be among the very first. Only few institutions, few organizations are coming into this reality. But the effect of climate change is here with us.
But if climate change has far-reaching effects on the people, how come information or knowledge about it is that shallow, is that small?
Well, I wouldn't, you see, to an entrepreneur, you know, they are after what they can get. That's a basic fact about human being. But
okay, so you sound like climate change is really a problem caused by entrepreneurs.
It's not just, you know, I want to believe everybody is an entrepreneur.
In one way or the other.
In one way or the other, you want to get something out of the system, out of the maybe ecosystem. So we are collecting, for instance, let me talk about maybe agriculture, or talked about lumbering, for instance, in Ondo State here. We do a lot of lumbering. We've been, since 1990, people have been felling trees. Today, they are removing, hardly can you get trees like Apa, Iroko, Obeshe, Mahogany, and some other species, or even Araba. Where are they? This is the human activity on the face of the earth. We are removing all of these things, and we are not bringing any back. If we are not bringing them back, replacing them, it has effect, what we call greenhouse effect. So heat will be trapped in the atmosphere, and once the heat is trapped, then it has effect on our weather conditions. Because of that, there will be a kind of, the ozone layer will be depleted. And the effect are many. One, there will be direct effect of maybe some gases on human, like will be exposed to some dangerous X-rays or gases, which are not too good for human body, for human health. That is one. Secondly, look at what we are generating. That's why I said entrepreneur. If you consider packaging, we talked about maybe water, plastic. Do you know that it takes about 1 million years for that plastic to decay, if it's going to decay at all? So it has a severe effect on our ecosystem. And you see people putting them on our drainage. Apart from blocking the drainage, it can destroy lives of the animals in their own local habitat. It distorts them. Look at the issue of generating crude oil. We talk about oil spill in the riverine area, in oil-producing area. The effect is enormous on ecosystem. Natural animals within their habitat will be affected, destroyed by the human activity on the face of the earth.
But this thing about climate change is quite recent. Yet humanity has existed like forever. So how did we come to this place where we are damaging our lives by ourselves?
Yes. How
and when did we come into this space?
Well, as a result of technology, especially industrialization. Like I said.
But industrialization has always been with us.
It has been, just maybe 19-something. It's a recent thing. The effect, for instance, now we talked about our forefathers. They live their expectant life, they live longer years than we do nowadays. Why? Because the product they were consuming then were not contaminated. Today, all of our products are almost contaminated by some of these activities of ours. For instance, like emission from manufacturing company. It has some negative effects as it affects, for instance, even the emission from our cars, releasing of carbon dioxide, because the major two important gases is carbon dioxide, CO2, and methane, CH4. These are important elements that dissolves create heat and dissolve our ozone layers. And that's what we call the greenhouse effect. When these gases are captured here, they capture heat, and then it will deplete ozone layer. And so there's going to be problems. And this as a result of our activities. For instance, from our industrial center, carbon dioxide will be released, methane will be released. Some of these plastic, something I talked about, will be released all into there without controlling them.
But Africa seems to be laid back in tackling climate change, despite the fact that a lot of things happen in Africa that destroy the ozone layer. For instance, on the streets of Nigeria, you would see vehicles that are emitting terrible smoke from their exhaust
pipe.
Yet, African countries seem to be laid back about doing something about climate change. What exactly is the issue?
The issue is awareness.
African governments are not aware?
Well, that is what we are. That's what we have, or maybe they are playing a kind of laissez-faire attitude. I don't care attitude. Because, again, I think they are not aware of the implication of the effect of climate change on our life.
Don't you think that anyone who is not aware of the effects of climate change at this point in history should not occupy government position?
Well, I wouldn't say that, because that's why we are here. We are now trying to create awareness that with our activities today is going to affect our future generation.
Okay,
the activity of our forefather is affecting us today. Like I was talking about deforestation, is one. All these trees, they have gone, and so we are exposed to dangerous light that can affect human, apart from what we eat, the air we breathe in. You see, they are polluted. Today in Nigeria and in Ondo State, we are talking about cholera outbreak. This is what we are talking about, climate change. Climate change. We are not aware of our activities, for instance, open defecation. It's part of what we are out there for. We will go out to educate people. Then we will also go out, because the world bodies are coming together to provide funds.
Who are the we that you're talking about?
Well, the we I'm talking about, for instance, we are talking about African governments. We are talking about developed nations. The developed nations, especially the Paris, I think there's a Paris meeting sometimes in 2014 or so, and people came to the awareness that it is time we tackle climate change headlong, and certain amounts were earmarked to mitigate this effect of climate change.
Okay, recently, your Polytechnic
Yes.
Launched a climate change center.
Yes.
Now, what do you intend to achieve with that center, and how do you intend to achieve what you intend to achieve?
Good. Yes, we did that first. We want to create awareness that there's a problem with us, problem of climate change. And again, as a research institutions, we want to look into some of our activities that is causing this problem with the bid of mitigating or reduce. We can only reduce to the BRS minimum. And then we are also aware that there are some donor agencies, international donor agencies, that have come to term to support the idea of mitigating or reducing the effect of climate change, the greenhouse effect all over the world. Because
you want to take part of that money.
It's not, well, definitely we will take part of it, because we need to sensitize. For instance, let's talk about open defecation. Now, if we say, okay, with open defecation, it's going to cause cholera. How do we solve it? We are going to write proposal. Look at how we can, that is take a kind of innovation. How do we solve this problem of open defecations? Then we can say, okay, we are going to provide mobile toilets at every strategy, maybe at bus stops, so people can be there, or even at events every weekend, even maybe free of charge. There are somebody that can say, okay, if you want to do this, we will sponsor. So it's not as if it is us. Number one, we will create awareness. And number two, we will have, saved human life by providing such facilities. And so the international organizations that are already aware of these problems will be ready to sponsor. That's part of. Then again, we are going into research. We bring our team of researchers, maybe if we can do interconnectivities in terms of research from different countries, from different environments, and we see the problem, we look at it, and we provide solutions. So these are some of our thinking and our line of thought to say, okay, what is going to be our quota in reducing? Because it will reduce our human, mortality rates. That's what we are talking about now. We are thinking of the way how to make our mortality rate to jack up by taking care of unnecessary casualty in our midst.
Okay, now let's look at the international space. As a major stakeholder in tackling climate change, because you're the director of that center.
Yes.
At Rufus.
Yes.
Do you think the world is succeeding in pushing the message across appropriately to the general public all over the world, vis-a-vis the need to actually stop activities that encourage climate change?
Yes, I think, like you rightly mentioned, climate change is the latest phenomenon that is affecting the whole world, either developed or developing countries or less developed countries. For instance, look at what is happening in China or in some other, maybe like in the area of depletion of ice. Terrible events are happening, winds and all of this. So they know a lot of, for instance, look at what is going on in Lagos, for instance. You can see flood everywhere. Flood in China, flood in all these international, even in US. We have some terrible windstorm, even in US. We have volcano. These activities are affecting human existence. And even at the space too, we are having issues of like steroids that can affect human life by the time all of these things happens. So the whole world must wake up to see how we should be able to plan now. So climate change is about planning against the future, because some of our activities will definitely cause problems for our incoming generation. And so we must plan ahead. Let's allow them to exist by taking care of some of these problems that we have envisioned that may likely confront them. We can reduce the effect of ocean surge by our activities. We can reduce the effect of green gas emission. So all of this with conscious action and steps, we can do all of this and mitigate the problems of climate change and some accidents that follows.
Okay, one of the things that people keep talking about when the issue of climate change occurs is ecotourism. But looks like very little is heard of ecotourism in this part of the world, especially Nigeria and Africa. Now, how can we activate the process, or how can we heighten or increase ecotourism activities in this part of the world?
Well, thank you. Maybe to answer you directly, about 3 months ago, I was in Bauchi at Yankari Game Reserve. So it's part, and what we discovered there is it's a beautiful thing, but you discover that I think the government of Bauchi State is doing a fantastic job. They created an expanse of land and several kilometers for every of these animals to inhabit. I think in the whole northern region, I think Bauchi is one of the biggest ecotourism center. You have different species of animals there in their natural habitat. They are not controlled or curtailed there. And I asked questions on that. How did you get this? It was there I discovered that even these giant monkeys what is it? They were playing with us. Ordinarily, it's something animal you will dread, you will be afraid of. That, but you see them playing. They have acclimatized with human, because you go there with one thing or the other, they collect from your hand, especially chimpanzee and all of these things. They are there interacting with human beings. So that's a good example. But be as it may, for us to be able to promote ecotourism, we should be able to take care of our forest. This illegal felling down of trees without replacement, it destroys a lot of things. It destroys the natural habitat of these animals. And believe you me, the benefit of ecotourism is enormous. For instance, If you're in a natural environment, particularly maybe where you have these different species of animal, you forget yourselves. For somebody that is hypertensive, within seconds, it will disappear. The blood pressure will definitely go down. So we cannot joke with ecotourism. And again, it's a source of IGR. We call it green economy. So nobody is talking about all of this again. If this economy, that's a part of what we are also doing here. Very shortly, we are going to do Ondo Diaspora Festival.
We'll come to that shortly. It's the facts on KAFTAN television, and I've been speaking with the director of the Climate Change Center at the Rufus Giwa Polytechnic, or he's also the acting rector of the institution, Mr. Olorunwa Adegun. We'll take a short break now. The facts continues shortly. Stay with us. It's still the facts on KAFTAN television, and I have been speaking with the director, Climate Change Center at the Rufus Giwa Polytechnic, or also the acting rector of the institution, Mr. Olorunwa Adegun. Mr. Adegun, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Before the break, you are talking about diaspora.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting dimension to conversation, because for an economy like Nigeria's, which depends so much on diaspora funding, we must begin to take a critical look at diaspora issues. Now, you are interested in diaspora matters, but to what extent do you want to be involved in diaspora issues?
Fantastic. We call it, diaspora is that we are aiming at now. We are aiming at cultural economy, that a good, cool money can also be made.
I like the choice of that word, cool money.
Yes, and people don't know. You see, for instance, our diasporan brethren all over the countries of the world, some of them, they have gone for 20, 30 years, they have made money. And now their problem is how to invest. If you still remember, in those days, our president, General Gowon, at a time in those days when he was, I said, his problem is how to spend money. That money is not a problem in Nigeria. But the problem is how to spend it. I wouldn't know.
I wish we would go back to those days.
So those days, yes. So the same it is, as it was in the beginning, the same it is too. There are some people that have made it in some developed countries, and they are looking for where to invest. So the essence of Diaspora Festival, number one, is to attract these investors, to showcase to them areas, blue chips, companies, and opportunities that are available, particularly in Ondo State. Yes. For instance, I will tell you, Ondo State has the largest coastal coastal environment where people can trade and do a lot. We talked about Olokola some times ago. There are a lot of things we can do. We have large expanse of land. Planting, agriculture is because it's part of climate change something. So people can go into that. And how about this tourism business we talked about? We have a lot of tourist centers here. Starting from here, we have all of these artifacts here. We have Idori Hill, is in Ondo State. We can go to Riverine area in Iboko, that area. You have beautiful environment. And look at Ikogosi. It's very close to us here. People can go there and have fun. We have a waterfall there. It's just some kilometers away from us here. So these are beautiful places to visit. And in the course of doing that, cool dollar will be attracted, even to the cover of the Ondo State government. And last time when we inaugurated this thing here, somebody came from Kogi State, PS of culture and tourism, and we are planning to go there. So already we have we are trying to formed a link. There's a synergy now between Ondo State and Kogi State as a result of just that inauguration. The governor of that state is much more interested with what we are doing here. And before we know it, as small as we are linking up the two state governments so that they can form a kind of symbiotic living, so to say, because we are talking about ecotourism and some other things like that. So, and that is what life is all about, partnership, symbiotic living, so that we affect ourselves, part affect whole, and whole affects parts.
I mean, you sound like someone who is passionate about development of the economy of Nigeria.
Yeah.
And someone who wants to do something about it.
Yeah.
So I throw this to you. Let's look at the entire Nigerian nation and the capacity to drive revenue, to make money. What do you think is really wrong with us as a nation? Why are we still a developing nation despite all of the resources that are available to us?
Well, maybe that's a very good question. I think what is essentially wrong with us is leadership. I will corner it down to leadership, and not just the leadership, but the courage to take some steps. And that is why I'm grateful that Nigeria, the current government, the way I see it, I think they are doing a good job. I've seen two steps. One, President Bola Tinubu made a decision recently that I think is going to go far, that students should take loan, which we call NEL Fund. NEL Fund has been established to take care of student loan, that is, whatever you are going to pay as school fees, you can take a loan and pay your school fees. And not just that, there's going to be stipend that to take care of yourself so that you can face your study. That is, the burden now is lifted from the parents. And for any serious student, there's no problem. You should be able to. Because that's what helped the government of our Baba Olorunwa. He made free educational system. He provided free education. Now that we cannot, but something closer to that, the money will be available. It's not going to be questions, I don't have money to take care of myself or to take care of my wards or my children. So that is solved. And once education is solved, the problem is almost solved. Secondly, another policy that I'm so happy about it is bringing life back to the local government. The local government will be there. Once the funds are released to them, they'll be able to take some developmental process. So with these two policies, Nigeria is going far. We will overtake. There's a room for us to overtake. Now,
I'm sure you know that many people will disagree with you on that.
How?
That the steps towards national recovery and development are slow.
Well, that they are slow. We're slow and steady win the race, my brother. So it is not question of slowing down, because I tell you, let me give you an allegory or so. Once you sustain an injury, God forbid, maybe fracture, it's a painful thing. People in health sector will tell you this. So it takes another pain to remove that pain.
Why do all governments talk like this? Every government says the previous ones made the nation to sustain injury.
No, that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making that if you sustain pain or injury, for you to correct that injury, there's a little
We're
mesh.
saying the same thing.
Okay.
Mr. Adegun.
But what I'm trying to say is that
You are defending the government.
no, not really defending. But if I also do, but as an economist, I also see the line. So what I'm saying that we should exercise patience, and that is what palliative is doing. For instance, if you want to do operation, you will still be, allowed to go over.
Mr. Adegun, you are an
events.
economist by
Yeah.
training. Is this how an economy is developed?
Well,
What we're going through in Nigeria, is that how economies are developed? Based on your excellent training as an economist?
yeah, that's what we are saying, that we have just started.
Started how?
Started that on education. Once we're educated, and when there is energy, a lot of things will work.
Education that is not useful, that is making all the young people of this country to go away. That is education that is functional.
What?
As an economist?
No.
Mr. Adegun?
We, like I said, it's just what I used to tell people, and that's why we have come to this level. Technical education answers, technology answer all these problems.
Now I bring you to the issue of technical education.
Yeah.
Is government funding technical education the way it should be funding it? If indeed technical education is one of the ways out of our problem.
Well, I think the present government is doing something in that direction.
What is it doing, Mr. Adegun?
Well, funding, and MBT in particular is coming with some innovations that will help TVET, we call it TVET education, technical something, programs, trainings are going on, training the trainers and certificating all these traders outside there, so that we give them a little bit of that education to be able to do certain things on their own.
Yes, all the technical schools are down.
Yes, you will agree with me that all over the world there are problems. Problems is not limited here, like an economist will put it. We are at the trough of the economy, the down. So we are trying to come up.
We are always down.
And we are coming up. Because the Bible also put it, when there is down, casting down, there's also the lifting up. So we are talking about the lifting. All we need to do now, patience. We have to exercise patience. Because we cannot eject. We are not talking about miracle here. We are talking about conscious step. What we can do today that will catapult us. In finance, we call it platform theory. We need to be on a platform that will launch us out.
I'll bring you back to your school, where
Okay.
you are acting rector.
Okay.
Mr. Adegun.
Thank you.
Let's look at Rufus Giwa Polytechnic Owo and its capacity to change things deliberately. How much change, how much turnaround has happened since you got here?
Thank you for that beautiful question. We are putting all we can. For instance, we have put up a lot of changes here since I came on board. Number one is to create awareness.
Awareness about?
About what we can do, and especially amidst my colleagues. For instance, we have started doing some certain things on our own. For instance, look at this. We manufactured this here.
This is beautiful.
Yes, by one of our staff members. Yes, this was done here. Shoe like this, we are doing it now. Just within this few period of something. Security doors, we have done that. If you go around and look down there, you see acres of land that have been plowed. You can see maize and cassava growing within this few period. Yesterday, we were out there planting palm tree. So in the next 3 months, you see our oil plantations coming up. Because don't forget that the oil seed was taken, from here to Malaysia, So why can't we replicate or bring it back? So these are some of the things we are doing, and we are asking our lecturers to go back. And because one of my policies is to tell them, you cannot be a lecturer here if you don't have a trade. You must have a profession. Because it's a technical education to train. As you are giving the theory, you're also bringing in the practical. Just about 2 weeks, the man just called me. We brought somebody in here to come and teach us or to train us or to let us know or sensitize on how to upgrade some of these cars. You can upgrade your 2020 models to 2024, 23. The man just called me this early this morning. So some of these things are what we are doing and showcasing to the whole world, like the climate change we are talking about, like the Diaspora Festival, and very shortly we are going to have tourism hotel here. And we are planning that too. We are bringing investors because we want to attract people from Lagos, from Ibadan that are congested. That here is a peaceful environment, particularly for researchers. So they come here to do research. They can stay here for a week or 2. So we need to do that. And tourism hotel, I mean, yes, is a beautiful one, different from the conventional one, in the sense that we will replicate what is happening in your, for instance, if you have a tourist hotel here, then we are expecting people to come from America, then we will have something tailored to American culture, something tailored to Ghana, to all of these things, and we name those rooms too by the name of the countries.
How much support are you getting from the Ondo State government to do all the things you plan to do here?
Fantastic. We are getting a lot and a lot. For instance, you know, Yoruba will put it that once you are no longer hungry, then you can engage your thinking faculty. Now, before now, we were being owed 14 months. But I can tell you that it has been reduced to barely 7 months. And that's the beginning. Just last week or 2 weeks, we paid 35% palliative. And people were even wondering, how did we get it? We got it and we pay full salary. And with the help of Ondo State, they have assisted us to pay full. Ever before now, we were paying 10%, 20%, but that era has gone and gone into oblivion forever. So, and with that, since I know that my money will comes 31st of the month, then I can sit down comfortably and engage my brain into some productive things. And that's what is happening to our people. We are transforming them, that the era of laissez-faire attitude has gone. So, and that is exactly what we are doing. The Ondo State government is supporting by paying, and very shortly too, we are going to do our convocation, and the promise is high that will be supported.
Mr. Olorunwa Adegun, Acting Rector, Rufus Giwa Polytechnic, and Director, Climate Change Center at Rugibo. Thank you very much for talking to me on the facts. That's the size of the program this week. Thank you very much for joining us on the Facts on KAFTAN Television. Let's do this again next week. My name is Akinwumi Abodunde. Please enjoy the rest of the day and stay safe.